Hello guys, time for another part of this reading. At least I'm not in a bathrobe in this part. Hehehe. Okay then. This will be chapters 26 through 30. It'll be interesting. The final part of this will be a tad longer than the others because I'll be reading the rest of the story in the next part. So let's get this over with. This is a Sweeney Todd chapter. I don't have an author's note in the beginning. I don't know why. I think I used to have one, but for some reason I took it down. So let's not waste any time. It took little over a month for the Bountiful to reach Boston, Massachusetts. When we reached Boston, that's when Anthony and Joanna parted ways with us and started their journey to the state of New York. Myself, Eleanor, and Toby headed to a train station that was heading for this milling town named Royalston. You know, it would make more sense if they just went to New York. Oh, well. Gee, I've never been on a train before, Mom, Toby says happily as he stares out the window. I sit beside Eleanor, placing our luggage beneath my feet. Apparently, America has produced lots of railroads. Also, it seems that the bloody country is having a conflict within itself. Something to do with slavery, according to Anthony. Wow, what a perfect time to go and move to the country that... The irony of America, a supposed free country that still allows slavery in the southern states. I've been on one once, but that was when I was a little girl, Eleanor responds, grabbing my arm when the train starts to move. I give her a look and she smiles shyly at me. So, this town we're going to live it's on a river? Toby asks after a while. Yes, I respond. It's a large mill town. I think this town even exists. No, actually, yes, it does exist. Never mind. That sounds nice, Toby says quietly as he gets lost out the window again. So did Toby jump out the window? Eleanor and I exchange glances. She rests her head on my shoulder and closes her eyes. Yes, she's got the right idea. It's going to take all day for us to reach Royalston, seeing it's so far inland. So I lean my head back and close my eyes. Eventually, sleep overcomes me. When I wake up again, it's dark outside and the train is slowing down. I gently shake Eleanor's shoulder to wake her up. I then shake the boy, too. After a few minutes, the train comes to a dead stop and all of us get up and follow the small crowd off the train. Apparently, the train station is in the deserted western side of the town. I grab a local newspaper and scan it to see what houses they have for sale. After taking a seat, I continue to read the paper until something catches my eye. Eleanor, look at this, I say as I show Eleanor the paper. She scans to see what I have seen. They have a store for sale, she exclaims as she takes the paper to get a closer look. Apparently, my love, it has an apartment on the second floor that's big enough for a small family, too, I say, looking over at Toby, who has fallen asleep on the bench we've been sitting on. It's located in South Royalston. Great view of the mill and the river from the second floor apartment. Eleanor mutters as she reads the description. Did they even have, like, housing listings in newspapers back then? Maybe. And it is a store, I suppose, so maybe they would have that listed. I smile to myself as I read over her shoulder. The price is rather charming, too. The original owners are too old to run the business and have no willing family member who wants it. This is just smashing, Mr. Todd. Can we afford it? Eleanor asks me. I turn to her and smile slightly. She gives me a big hug. As she turns to wake Toby, I get up and look around the scenery around us. The sky is very clear, which is a rarity in London. I take notice to the trees. There are tons of them, and they're mainly pines. I guess Anthony wasn't joking about this town being in the woods. Eventually, the coach does the same, and we make our way to South Royalston. The next morning is when I go down to the store to see if I can buy it. I am greeted by an ancient-looking man. He gives me a gummy smile when I tell him that I'm interested in the establishment. Mr. Sweeney Todd, eh? You saw the ad in the paper? The man asks as he shakes my hand. I smile politely and hand him the paper. My family and I just came into town last night by train, I say to him. I figured that not much English folks in this town. He says that as he reads the paper. He then looks up at me with his beady eyes. I'm Edward, by the way, Edward Smith. He says as he shakes my hand again. A pleasure, I say, although I don't mean it. This man is a little too cheerful for me. Well, I better show you around the place. It's a country store. Has a little diner near the back for the breakfast crowd. Edward says loudly as he leads me to the place. Eleanor and the boy will like the diner. I don't know if I will, though. Maybe I'll work at the mill nearby. This leads up to the apartment. I follow Edward up the stairs to the apartment up above. When I see the place, I am quite amazed. It is a large apartment that is very comfortable looking. Yes, this will definitely be large enough for the three of us. I turn to Edward. I have the money to pay for it now. I say to him as I hand him an envelope. He smiles as he takes it. I watch him impatiently as he opens the envelope and counts the money. Wait a minute. Wouldn't they not be able to use their currency, seeing it's from another land? I don't know. I mean, maybe back then they accepted currency from other countries. I mean, I know that we sometimes accept Canadian currency, but I don't know if we would be accepting, like, pounds and stuff. But then again, this does take place in the 1800s. Alright, let's continue. You're all set, Mr. Todd. You and your family can move in on Friday. My wife and myself need to get our things out. I smile politely at Edward as I shake his hand for the third time. I completely understand. Good day, I say politely as I turn away. Good riddance. He was so sweet that he was starting to give me cavities. You took that line from Sailor Moon. I hate overly sweet people like the likes of him. Well, almost everyone. Eleanor is a great exception of that. I wear a small smile on my face as I head back to where we're staying. We made it out of London successfully. Now we live in a town that is nowhere near the ocean. This place is perfect for a fresh start in a new life. For once, I am a happy man. Now, you'd think the story would end here, but we still have much more to read. Chapter 27. This chapter is called A New Life. This will be a Mrs. Lovett version. Oh wow, an author's note. I was kind of hoping that I had stopped putting author's notes, because my author's notes were really annoying. Ugh. This would have been updated way earlier today, but I think I was having some malfunctions. Did anyone else have problems logging in today? It is so beautiful in this town, surrounded by nature, not a lot of people, far away from Lucy. It's brilliant. I find myself humming merrily as I cook up breakfast for me hungry customers. Sure, this town has some inconveniences, such as getting all the food supplies by train, but I can live with that. The people here are very friendly, too. Toby, that gentleman wants some coffee. I say to Toby as I hand him a cup of the bitter hot liquid. It's quite funny. Before coming to America, I never had this coffee stuff. Wait, what? I think England had coffee. I mean, come on, in the song Pretty Women, they specifically mentioned coffee. Coffee's not a new thing to English people. Research, research, do your research. Mini-me, you're an idiot. Well, technically, I don't think I'm taller than how I was when I was 18, 19 years old, but never mind. It's not that bad when you get used to it. I think we've settled in here pretty fine. Been in this cute town for a couple of months now. I noticed Sweeney coming down from above, looking like his grumpy old self as always. He doesn't fancy working at the mill across the road. I told him that he could work here, but he gave me a look at that suggestion. Stubborn man. There, have something to eat before you go. I call over to him. Not hungry, he calls back as he exits the store. Ah, that man makes me want to scream. Your husband doesn't seem to like his food, one of me regulars, Tom says to me with a cheerful smile. Yes, I still need to get used to the fact that Mr. Todd and I are now married. We had it done shortly after we got here. Oh, I'll make him eat, I respond as I bring the bloke his food. If I have to tie him down and shovel it down his throat, then I'll do it. Tom laughs at me. Such a charming fellow. I don't see why Sweeney doesn't like him. He's pretty decent. Oh, if only I could be there to see you do it, Mrs. Todd. That would make my day, he says with a smile before he stops to eat. I smile to myself as I get back to work. I'll make Sweeney the best dinner that he won't be able to refuse to eat after he sees it. Around lunchtime, things are rather slow, so Toby and I settle down to eat. A lot is on my mind as we take our break. I can hardly believe that I was in jail 2 months ago. I sigh slightly Wait a minute. That completely contradicts what it said in the last chapter. The last chapter implied that they were on the boat to the United States for a month. And then in the beginning of this chapter, Mrs. Lovett clearly states that we've been living in this town for a couple of months now. So she would not be in jail 2 months ago. It would have been 3 months ago. Come on, younger me. Math was your best subject. Don't tell me you forgot to learn how to count. I sigh slightly as I look out the window to the mill across the street. I hope Sweeney's all right. I've heard about how dangerous those mills can be. Hey, Mom, Toby asks after a while. Yes, dear. Me friend Brian invited me to sleep over his house tonight. Is all right if I can? Toby asks me shyly. I smile warmly at him, very happy with the amount of friends he has made since we moved here. It's all right with me, dear. You can go over it now if you want. His face brightens up considerably. What about you in the store? I'll be fine, dear. Run along. Toby merrily goes up the stairs to get his things. Within a few minutes, he was back down and dashing out the door. Such a nice lad, me son is. I'm glad that he's happy. After I clean up some, I go behind the counter and sit in my favorite chair. I take out my favorite book and start to read as I wait for the customers to come and go. Around 6 o'clock, Sweeney comes brooding into the apartment. He pauses when he sees the elaborate dinner at the table. I smile playfully at him as he approaches. What's all this about? He asks me suspiciously as he takes a seat. Just me and you tonight, I answer simply. Sweeney raises his eyebrows at me. Where's the boy? He's gone to sleep over a friend's house up the road. Sweeney nods silently as he looks down at the food in front of him. The food isn't going to eat itself, you know, I say to him. He gives me a look as he picks up his fork. In silence we eat our dinner. I am lost in me thoughts as we eat. I'm curious to know what became of that little Lucy. Perhaps she got locked up in the movie bin. I'd like that. I then look over at Sweeney. Perhaps he knows what became of her. Sweeney, I pipe up. He looks over at me with his sexy eyes. Again, I don't think the term sexy existed back in the 19th century. Yes, my love. I'm just a bit curious and all. What happened to Lucy before you broke me out of prison? I ask as I go to take a bite of my food. I threw her into an oven, he answers casually. What? I almost choke on my food when I hear this. Sweeney quickly gets up and rushes to my aid, harshly slapping my back until I get the food out of my throat. When I finally regain control, I stare at him in disbelief. You did what? I gasped. He smiles very slightly as he sits back down at his seat. I threw her into an oven, he says again. I stare blankly at him. Why? I finally ask. I mean, I hated Lucy with a passion, but why would he throw her into an oven? She was trying to manipulate me. Sweeney answers darkly, claiming that she loved me and that I freed her when I told her that it was me who killed the judge and the beetle, not you. I comprehend this. Well, I suppose she had it coming. Too bad it wasn't me who had the honor, though. When I finish eating, I look over to Sweeney, slowly getting up. He has the oddest look on his face that I've ever seen as he approaches me. So, it's just me and you tonight, he asks me softly. I smile slightly as I stand up. That's right, I answer. He takes a step closer to me and quickly scoops me up in his arms. I giggle like a silly schoolgirl as I wrap my arms around his neck. We kiss passionately as we head up to the bedroom. Oh geez, I wonder if the next chapter is going to be a sex scene. Ugh. Ooh, I wonder what they're going to do. That's what my author's note says. They're just going to play patty cake. Yeah, they're going to do the cartoon version of having sex, playing patty cake. For those who watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit, you get that reference. But for those who haven't, go watch the movie. It's a good movie. Are you sure you'll be fine if you read it? Okay. Okay. Alright, good night. See you tomorrow. Sorry about that. It's my sister. Alright then. I can read this story in my normal voice. So here we go. I kick the bedroom door open with my foot. Eleanor gives me a look for doing so, but all I do is smile as we enter the room. Gently, I lay her down on the bed and I start to kiss her passionately. You know, dear, Eleanor mutters between kisses, you're going to break that door one of these days. I pull her up and start to fiddle with the strings of her dress. Do you think I care? I growl playfully. She smiles as she pulls my vest off. No, I don't think you care, she whispers before kissing me again. As I'm still trying to untie the laces to her dress, she's already got my shirt off. The hell with it. I reach for the razor on my nightstand, and I use that to cut through the fabrics of her dress. I catch her giving me an annoyed look as I pull the remnants of the dress off of her. That's the third dress you've done that to, she scolds as she pulls my belt off. Well, perhaps you should wear less complicated clothing, I reply smartly. Eleanor gives me a slight grin while her hands unbutton my trousers. At this point, we're both getting rather aroused and impatient. After the remaining articles of clothing go flying onto the floor, I find myself on top of Eleanor, staring into those eyes full of lust. I watch as she closes her eyes and moan as I move myself into her. Why did I have to write this in first person? I do it slowly to tease her. Roughly, she grabs the back of my head and pulls me down, giving me a forceful kiss as she thrusts herself forward. Well, I guess this is still better than the sex scene I wrote in my original fanfic. Well, you're awfully feisty tonight, I moan as I kiss her neck. Only when you tease, darling, she responds, pulling me down closer to her. I begin to go faster as she thrusts harder, both of us moaning and kissing each other. Thank goodness the boy isn't here. Normally we'd have to stay quiet so we don't wake him and possibly scar him for life. I allow my hand to travel down her body as we kiss. I find her clitoris and start to rub it with my fingers. Oh, Sweeney, Eleanor sighs, her eyes fluttering with lust and ecstasy. Her hands start to massage the back of my neck as we kiss. I groan in her mouth as she does this, seeing my neck is tense because of the work I must do in the mill. I sense that we're both ready to climax. I love it in these sex scenes that both of them, both the people involved, can magically sense when the other's about to climax, and they magically climax at the same time. It doesn't work like that. I'm not saying that. It just doesn't work like that. I assume that it doesn't work like that. So I start to go at it at full force. Eleanor does the same, keeping the same pace as me. After an agonizing minute, I collapse on top of Eleanor. We are both breathing heavily as we rearrange ourselves and embrace each other. My dear, you are an animal in bed, I hear Eleanor whisper. I kiss her softly on the lips and grin at her. Even when it's dark, I can still see her eyes glitter in the night. They are so beautiful. You are one to talk, my pet, I reply softly. I feel her hand gently caress my bare back. She closes her eyes and sighs contently. I pull her closer to me, feeling her head resting beneath my chin. I smile softly as I close my eyes. Our life in London seems like a mere dream now, a nightmare, to state it more appropriately. Sweeney? I grunt. Thank you, Eleanor whispers as she nuzzles her head closer to my chest. For what, I ask her. For freeing me from that prison and for marrying me, she replies. Ah, my love, it is you that I should be thanking, I say quietly in her hair. I feel her kiss my bare chest softly as she giggles quietly. Whatever it is you want to thank me for, you're welcome, Eleanor replies. I kiss her forehead and close my eyes. All of our troubles are gone. The judge and the beadle are now literally pieces of shit. Thank you for the visual. That little manipulator and double-crosser Lucy is a heap of ash. Anthony and Joanna are safe and sound. Things couldn't get any better than how they are now. Eleanor's already asleep. I can tell by her breathing. It becomes very slow and steady. Good night, my love, I whisper very softly. I should probably try to sleep too, seeing I have to go to the blasted mill tomorrow. I really want to be a barber again, but there's nowhere in this town to open up a barber shop. Well, at least not in South Royalston. Wait, I think South Royalston is the most populated part of town, bleeding Christ. Couldn't you just open up the shop in the apartment? That's what you did in the Sweeney Todd movie and in the other Sweeney Todd stories. You keep on saying that the apartment is big enough for the three of you guys to live there, so couldn't you designate one room to be the barber shop? I suppose it's for the best to live in such a simplistic town like this one. It can get rather irritating at times, especially when talking to the overly cheerful town folks. London was too gloomy and this Royalston was way too cheerful. Well, Eleanor likes it here, so I should tolerate it for her, perhaps. Besides, perhaps I'll grow fond of this place someday. Stupid meat pies, Eleanor mutters in her sleep. I quietly chuckle when I hear her say this. Every night she seems to mutter something in her sleep that involves meat pies. I guess she can't escape from them like how I can't escape from my razors. I look at the nightstand where my silver friend is resting. I know they are no longer of use to me, but I can't sell them. They are too much a part of me to sell them off. I close my eyes once again and try to sleep. What helps me sleep is the sound of Eleanor's peaceful and steady breathing. I silence my mind and listen carefully, and I'm very thankful that she doesn't snore. I remember that when I was Ben, Lucy would snore like a bear. I silently laugh as I grow more mesmerized by my love's breathing. Within minutes, I find myself on the beach holding the woman who is most dear to me in my arms. So, did you guys teleport from your bedroom to the beach, or are you having a dream? Author's note. No, this isn't the end of the story. I still have some ideas, folks. Please review. You know, this would have been a perfect ending for the story. But no, I had to add on 9 more chapters after this of complete and utter pointless crap. This is where the story starts to get really bad. Alright, let's read chapter 9, which is Mrs. Lovett's chapter. Chapter 29, please. Navigation. Number 29 is called Preggers. I wonder what happens in this chapter. Author's note. It is official. This is my longest story that I have written out of the 4 others prior to this one. I'm pretty happy. Oh, it's not over yet. I still got plenty of steam for this story. Enjoy. Yes. I knew this would happen eventually. I knew it when Sweeney had declared his love for me that this would happen. My monthly gift hasn't come for 2 weeks. To put it bluntly, I am pregnant. I sigh quietly as I get out of bed. I smile at the sight of Sweeney looking like a peaceful angel. Why is the A in angel capitalized? You're not talking about the TV show Angel. You are talking about a normal angel. You don't need to capitalize the A. When he sleeps. I will tell him, but maybe later when we're both not working. When I head down into the kitchen, I get ready to open the store. About an hour later, Toby comes down and helps me cook. Mom, you look awfully happy. Toby points out casually as he serves our first customer. I smile at him and tend to my work. I see his look lingering on me before he tends to his own work. I watch as Sweeney descends from the apartment, looking as grouchy as he always does at this time of the morning. Before he can head out the door, I grab him and force him into a seat and place his breakfast in front of him. Eat, I say to him sternly. He looks up at me with raised eyebrows and a slight grin. Do I have a choice? He asks me. I give him a look. I hear me customers chuckling slightly, although they quickly stop when Sweeney's glaring eyes scan the room. Eat up, I say as I go back to my work. As if I have a say in the matter. I hear my husband grumble from behind. I smirk to myself as I cook more food. To no surprise, Sweeney inhales his food and quickly leaves the store. Though that man makes me want to rip my hair out at times. The mill is across the road. There's no need for him to eat like the world's gonna blow up. Men, they're all the same. Oh well. With a sigh, I get back to work. I really hope that Sweeney takes the news well. Mom, what are you so cheerful about? Toby asks me as we eat our lunch. I can tell that my cheerfulness has been bugging the boy all morning. I don't want to tell him that I'm pregnant yet. I want both Sweeney and I to be the ones to tell him. Just been a good day, that's all, I answer simply. Toby shrugs and continues to eat. I know that he isn't satisfied with that answer, but I'll have to do. Toby, how's that friend of yours doing? I ask my lad casually. He's doing good, Mum. His dad just gave him a hatchet as a birthday present. Toby answers simply. Ah yes, Toby will be turning 11 next month. With how crazy life's been, I almost forgot. I see, I mutter as I take my final bite of food. I pick up my plate and bring it over to the sink. Toby follows, and we both silently clean up. I gave Toby the afternoon off so he can be a boy and play with his mates. I can handle the shop on my own, seeing we only serve breakfast in the morning. I take out my book and start to read it, although my mind is somewhere else other than reading. Sweeney comes home and gives me a soft kiss on the cheek. I smile and kiss him back, trying to act as normal as possible. I shouldn't be nervous about telling him, but I am. Crap, Sweeney's looking at me with that concerned and curious look on his face. Eleanor, what's the matter? He asks softly as he approaches me. Why must my face give everything away? I smile at him, but he doesn't fall for it. Well, I guess now is the time to tell him. Well, I have something to tell you, I say quietly as I take a seat on the couch. Sweeney sits beside me and watches me with those black orbs that make me want to melt. All right, he says softly. Well, here goes nothing. I'm pregnant, I whisper. I feel myself tensing up the minute I say those words. After a moment, Sweeney gently places his hand over mine. I look over at him, and he has the happiest look on his face that I've ever seen. That's wonderful, he says, pulling me into a tight hug. I am very relieved that he isn't upset. I don't know what I'd do if he wasn't pleased. Sweeney pulls back and gently strokes my face. Why are you so nervous? He asks quietly. I wasn't sure how you would have reacted, I reply honestly. He smiles at me before kissing me. I cuddle up next to him and allow him to wrap his arms around me. Yeah, there's nothing for you to worry about, my love. I will never harm you, he says sweetly. I cuddle closer to him. He's right. He never harmed me. I would never shove you into an oven, my pet. Oh wait, oops, skipped a line, sorry. Yeah, it's not like you would shove me into an oven, I reply playfully. Sweeney chuckles quietly. I would never shove you into an oven, my pet, he whispers. In parentheses, this is me being funny and putting in a stupid and pointless author's note. Oh really? Well, in the Sweeney Todd movie, you did. Yeah, because in the Sweeney Todd movie, she lied to him about his wife being dead, and she was really alive. As if on cue. Toby comes dashing in, all muddy from playing with his friends. Both Sweeney and I get up and tend to face him, hand in hand. Toby looks at us curiously. What's up with you two, he asks. After you clean up, we'll tell you, I reply. With a groan, Toby heads off to the washroom. Sweeney and I exchange glances with a grin. After 5 minutes, Toby reappears in front of us. He calls that cleaning up. All he did was clean his face and hands. Toby, you're not eating dinner if you're wearing that grubby outfit, I say sternly. Grumbling, Toby goes to his room to change. After another few minutes, he reappears. Now that's more like it. Well, Toby asks impatiently, in about 9 months, you'll have a younger sibling. Okay. You have. Do not abbreviate. Oh, never mind. I'm an idiot. You'll have a younger sibling. I say simply. At first, Toby looks confused. Suddenly, his face lights up considerably. You mean he stutters, very excited. I grin and pat my tummy. That's right, son. I'm pregnant. Here's the author's note. Yep, she's preggers. Isn't that shocking? No, please review. Alright, here's chapter 30. Birth. Birth. What a very creative title. Okay, Sweeney Todd chapter. Oh, bloody hell. Today's the day, all right. Eleanor S. bedridden. Don't you mean is? Eleanor is bedridden and is in agony. I really hope that bloody doctor. Why is the B in bloody capitalized? I hope that bloody doctor gets here soon. If we were in London, we would have taken her to the hospital, and where else have we never even heard of a hospital? And why the hell did you guys decide to move to such an isolated town that doesn't have these things? You could have moved to Boston. You could have moved to New York. I mean, common sense. No, we're going to move out in the middle of nowhere to a very small town that doesn't have the necessities that we need to make a living. Idiots. They do have a local doctor, but he lives on the other bleeding side of town. Unlike London, this bloody town stretches for about 46 square miles. Well, I guess I did my research when I was doing this story when it came to this town anyway. Too bad I couldn't have done research on other elements. Mr. Todd, Mom wants you. Toby says quickly and loudly over Eleanor's yells. Quickly, I go into the bedroom. Honestly, I'm afraid to go near her. Seeing she looks about ready to kill the next person she touches. Where is he? She growls with the pains of labor. He isn't here yet, love, I say feebly. Eleanor's eyes grow rather wide as she clings for dear life to the sides of the bed. Nervously, I come to her side, quickly getting my hands grabbed by hers. I don't know how much longer I can keep this kid inside of me. Did they even use the term kid back then? Because if I recall correctly, the term kid used to be a term for a goat. She whispers harshly through gritted teeth. Despite my hand going over her grip, I squeeze her hand back in a loving manner. You must be patient, love. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Eleanor roughly pulls me closer to her. She has the wildest look on her face that I've ever seen. I am surprised that her eyes haven't popped out of her head yet. Don't you dare. You're not the one going through labor, she growls dangerously. I smile awkwardly at her, not really sure about what to say to this. Sorry, love, I mumbled. She seems to very slightly loosen her grip on my hand. I watch as she closes her eyes and tries to hold off the labor for that stupid doctor who hasn't shut up yet. In a matter of minutes, Toby comes dashing into the room with the doctor. Why is the D in doctor capitalized? Is Doctor Who in the story? No, so don't capitalize the D in doctor. Following casually behind. Oh, I wish I could kill the man. My wife's in labor and he comes waltzing in like we invited him for lunch. Mr. and Mrs. Todd, I presume. He asks casually. Yes, both Eleanor and I yell. Me out of anger and her out of pain and anger. You two gentlemen must leave the room. I'll take care of the rest, the doctor says calmly. I go to leave, but Eleanor tightens her grip on my hand to the point where I fear that my fingers are all going to break. Me husband stays here with me, Eleanor says angrily, but tradition says, the hell with tradition, he stays. Defeated, the doctor allows me to stay. Toby reluctantly leaves the room. The doctor walks over and lifts the bed sheet out of the way. Whoa, the baby is about ready to come out. How long have you been in labor? He asks stupidly. Oh, how I wish I could block my ears. I've been in labor for 2 bloody hours, my wife roars, making my ears ring. The doctor looks shocked but doesn't say a thing. All right, then push, he says simply. Eleanor squeezes my hand even harder as she pushes. That's right, love, keep pushing, I say assuringly. I am pushing, she growls angrily before crying out in pain. After a moment, a baby's cry echoes throughout the room. We both look over at the doctor as he happily lifts the baby up. Congratulations, you are both the proud parents of a beautiful baby girl. A beautiful baby girl. I wonder what they're going to name this baby girl. I sit beside the bed where Eleanor is resting, proudly holding up our baby girl. She has jet black hair, like me, but her eyes are chestnut like her mother's. I look over and see Eleanor smiling slightly in her sleep. She had a tiring day, so she deserves the rest. My little girl is also asleep. I'm quite shocked by how little she cries as she takes after her mother. Sweetie, I hear my wife whisper. I look over and see her staring up at me, wearing a small smile. I carefully hand her a bundle of joy over to her as I kiss her on the forehead. How are you feeling? I ask her softly. I'm feeling fine, love, Eleanor answers. We both look down at our daughter, who is sleeping contentedly. I very gently stroke her cheek. She's beautiful, just like her mother, I whisper. Eleanor nuzzles me under my neck. You're such a charmer, dear, she whispers. I smile and snuggle closer. You're a bloody wonder, I reply softly. We cuddle together in the bed. I am the happiest I've felt in my life. It's just me, Eleanor, Toby, and our newest addition to our family, our beautiful Bellatrix. That's right. Past me thought it'd be clever to name the baby Bellatrix, who, when she looks older, will look like a certain other Bellatrix from a certain Harry Potter book series. You want to know why I decided to name this kid Bellatrix? Because Helena Bonham Carter, the actress who played Mrs. Lovett, also played Bellatrix in the Harry Potter movies. clever you are not, younger me. Well, that's the end of this part. Stay tuned for the next and final part, if I have enough memory on my computer, that is.